Like there are some studies that were saying that you know, there's some people who have worse attention spans than goldfish. You know,
Yeah, Donald Trump might be one of them.
well, no, like I think it's like more common than like just like Donald Trump.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But like,
And
but yeah,
it's well,
Donald Trump is
it's easy
definitely
to
one of
get.
those people.
Yeah.
Like he could never like listen to like daily briefings.
Well, when you're exposed every day to like basically like little short clips, like being stimulated, like or re-stimulated like every 10 or 15 seconds,
Yeah.
just like every 3 or 4 minutes or 10 minutes if you're like on YouTube or something. I mean, yeah, that has an effect on the brain and on your ability to, you know, gain pleasure from completing long tasks.
Yeah. And like, sometimes if you're watching an informational video, like especially, like maybe with like these PragerU or like even like Gravel Institute videos that are like less than 10 minutes long,
Mhm.
explaining a certain subject,
And they have to be that short because of our attention spans. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a shame because there's so much great theory and literature out there. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get as much as I should because I just can't pay attention enough. But
We're not calling PragerU great because they're not, but
oh, well, no.
yeah. I know, yeah. Subscribe to the
Oh,
Gravel
dude,
Institute.
my grandpa sent my mom a PragerU video.
Oh, bruh.
Yeah, and he said I found this very interesting.
What what was it about?
It was about climate change, which is ridiculous because my grandpa used to believe in climate change because he's a scientist, but he fucking like fell into the Fox News Rush Limbaugh shit. So
I think
it was all about
I
how
know
like
it was
green
like
energy
was it
is.
like yeah, like I sent you guys one just like to have a laugh, right? And it was just I think it was like Michael Knowles or like and he was talking about like how conservatives are the real environmentalists. Well, let's pull it up.
Oh
Let's
no
watch
no
it.
no 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 no! It wasn't that guy. It was a different video. It was like very explicitly like funded by these two big fracking billionaires.
Well,
And
like all of it's funded by fracking billionaires,
right,
but
but this one had like some more direct engagement. It was saying well, I mean, it didn't really present any numbers. All it really it showed it gave us like solar panels, the capacity of a solar panel right now. And then it just kind of maintains, in their model, it maintains that capacity for the next 50 years. And so, of course, it doesn't look efficient. They do shit like that. That's kind of
yeah,
clever propagandistically speaking, but
yeah. I'm gonna like I found this PragerU video about like from Michael Knowles talking about how conservatives are the real environmentalists. Let's react to it and have a good laugh. I don't know. Does that
Michael
sound
Knowles, did you see Michael Knowles take the political compass test? Literally, the only reason he's a centrist is because he has conflicting opinions that don't make sense.
yeah? It was kind of like Ben Shapiro, who like he ended up in like the libertarian right quadrant of the political compass, but like he has a lot of conflicting views. Like he's very authoritarian in some of his views.
Yeah, he's anti-abortion. You can't be libertarian and be anti-abortion.
Yeah, because like it was like Kyle Kolinsky's debate with Razor Fist, and Razor Fist is like a fucking anarcho-capitalist. He's like I find I personally find abortion to be reprehensible, but like the very existence of government is like force by definition. So yeah, like the state shouldn't tell you not to get one. Like it's like by principle, the state shouldn't tell you what to do
Yeah.
with that, which I guess is admirable in a sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really the position I was trying. Well, I won't get. That's the position that I think a reasonable person should take. No one really, I mean, I don't know anyone who really likes the idea of abortion. Uh,
Yeah.
but the point is that
I
it
mean, yeah,
doesn't have
there's
the
some people
authority
on the
to.
left who like to joke about it. Like there was like a statistic like, oh, we've already had millions of abortions this year, and it's only like February, and it's just, and like one guy was like, oh, come on, ladies, we could do better than that.
Right. I mean, that shit's pretty funny, not gonna lie. But when we're talking seriously, I think most people are just like, the government shouldn't, they don't have authority to strip this right from people.
Yeah.
Even if I find it, and even if everyone finds it very questionable and complicated,
Yeah.
and everything.
All right, let's pull up this hilarity.
Oh, oh.
Ask your healthcare provider today about
I fucking hate these ads.
What the
All right,
fuck?
can you hear it
You
just
get high
fine?
on that? I was just kidding. All right.
Man, can you hear it?
No.
Or like did you hear the ad?
I hate clean
Yeah,
air.
I did hear it. Yeah.
I don't care how much companies pollute rivers and streams. I don't even like trees. I just care about tax cuts. Who am I? Well, that's easy. I'm a conservative. Or at least I'm a progressive caricature of a conservative. But the caricature is absurd on its face. Conservatives breathe the same air and drink the same water environmentalists do. Conservatives love taking their kids to the same national parks environmentalists do. In fact, the whole idea of national parks was created by a Republican, Ulysses Grant.
So already, it's
just
gone
like,
back.
this is alphabet soup, dude. This is like just nonsense. Yeah, conservatives love the environment. We breathe air, dude. Like, come on.
We breathe the same air as environmentalists do.
Air,
But
we
like,
drink water, dude. We're the same as you environmentalists, man. We like looking at nature at national parks. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, national parks were an idea conceived of by a Republican, Ulysses S. Grant, completely ignoring the fact that the Republican Party was very different
He was
150 years ago.
He was the general for the Northern Union Army. I mean, it's just insane to like compare him to modern day Republicans.
Yeah.
The park system was greatly
Good
expanded by a
president. There's that too.
Huh?
And he wasn't a good president. There's that too.
Yeah. Well, like the thing is, like
that's less important.
Like Abraham Lincoln is often cited as like, oh, he was the first Republican president. He was great. Dude, he had a correspondence with Karl Marx.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. And like, Marxists
Well, now they're bringing up
sympathized with.
Roosevelt. They're going to bring up a progressive, Roosevelt. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, like the guy who literally tried to run as a third party progressive, in like the election between Taft and Wilson.
Yep, he's largely the reason Wilson won that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, going back to the Civil War, like, Marxists were actually very like in Europe were very sympathetic with the Union cause, for a variety of reasons, like because they not only saw like slavery as immoral and inhumane, they saw it as basically just, substituting, free labor, like for, actually like having, compensated workers working for you. Like they saw, slavery as very anti-worker. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, sorry. I was just Googling. I want to read more about Lincoln and Marx. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Roosevelt. And the Environmental Protection Agency was, yes, established by a Republican, Richard.
That's true.
He liked clean air too.
And this was at a time in which,
it's not about
actually acknowledged, like even conservatives acknowledged that, climate change was definitely a threat. And like, yeah.
George Bush acknowledged that. John McCain acknowledged that. Mitt Romney acknowledged that. The three of them I know for sure. And there are a lot of others.
Yeah.
Conservatives want to conserve things. It's right there in the name. And one of the things we want to conserve is our environment, because you can't have a healthy community.
We don't need to stop. We know why that's
a healthy
stupid.
natural environment.
Like, progressives want to progress
It's
things.
even hard for me to say.
It's in the name.
Because I believe it.
Yeah, they want to change it. So why would they not be in favor of climate change?
But also he's acting like green energy is all about like fucking clean air and shit. It's like, oh, dude, Teddy Roosevelt really loved clean air, or who did he say? Nixon really liked clean air too, dude.
But no, he said like
it's like he's purposefully simplifying the narrative. Like he's like what's actually going on, so he can say, what do you mean? Everyone hates pollution.
Yeah.
But that's not really the issue.
Conservatives love the environment every bit as much as environmentalists do. The question is, what is the best way to protect it? And here's where we have big differences.
Fair enough.
The environmentalists say the best way, the only way, is through massive federal and even international regulations. Conservatives say the best way to protect the environment is by protecting property rights and encouraging innovation, safer, more efficient power, nuclear,
Okay, maybe like the innovation part, like you can sympathize with
Yes,
that. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know why the Koch brothers would want to move, like wouldn't want to move to like green energy. Think of all like the patents and the money to be made in a green industry.
Right. No, like that's legitimate. That's true. But the vast majority of innovation that's taken place in this country has taken place as a result of federal funding.
Yeah.
But additionally, like the first thing he mentioned was like the protection of property rights. What does that have to do with keeping
Well,
the?
actually, this was like this. You could talk about, like, in Virginia, you had like the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. That was an issue that both environmental, like liberals and conservatives, like got on kind of the same side, because on one hand, like the hippie tree huggers, right? Were in favor of stopping the
Yeah,
pipeline
yeah.
because of obvious environmental implications, but you know, conservatives were able to hop on, the stop the pipeline idea, because it ran through private property, and
I
like it
see. Okay,
and
I
so
get
like
the angle. So it's all about the big bad government, like it usually is.
yeah, or just like it yeah like it became an issue because it like to like land rights conservatives, that kind of thing.
Geothermal, biomass, anything that generates
But yeah, biomass just it still
Okay.
harms the environment.
energy at a
Yeah.
price consumers want and can afford to pay. To the extent that government gets involved in conservation, say protecting wildlife, it should get involved at the most local level possible, since the farmer, forester, or fisherman in Oregon knows a lot more about his environment than some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C.
No,
or
no, no,
Brussels.
no, no, no.
So how
Like,
can we
just like
That is very dishonest at best.
that is, well, one, it's demonstrably not true. I mean, um, obviously large corporations are contributing to pollution much more than farmers, but farmers have demonstrated themselves to be very resistant to environmental regulations, such as, where they can, dump their pesticides and stuff, things like that. You kind of need a bigger picture view of things in order to institute these regulations.
Yeah.
tell which way works best? Let's examine the historical record. Today, and for the last century, the worst environmental offenders have been big, repressive, socialist governments. This was true in the last century, and it's true now. China, for example, pumps roughly twice as much carbon into
China's not even communist. Big into
They're certainly not socialist.
Yeah, like they have a lot of capitalist industry there,
The only reason they
especially
can be
as of
described as
recent.
communist is because they're kind of similar to what Lenin was trying to do, but still very different. Just in the sense that it was very authoritarian.
Well, yeah, or at
But
least
really, they don't even
Stalin.
fit the definition of communist, even
Yeah.
through that way.
Yeah, they don't understand the definition of socialism. They say basically, like their definition is like socialism is like when the government does stuff in which
Yeah,
no.
China's really very capitalist and very authoritarian. So the capitalism is
Yeah.
regulated, but it's
Yeah.
not socialism at all. Everything's privatized, just about.
Yeah. And
Germany did that too. And actually, Germany privatized a lot of their industry.
but socialist is in their party name.
Yeah, I'm wondering what other examples he's going to cite, because I mean, it's hard to think of a greater contributor to pollution than capitalism, than industrial capitalism.
Yeah. And that's another thing we can talk about at another time, maybe.
Yeah.
Just like this
Well,
whole
even look at the
dumb-ass
cartoon.
narrative that like
Yeah,
the Nazis were somehow leftists, which is far
that is
from
an
the truth.
interesting conversation.
Yeah,
but-
that is like the first.
So I just
very
noticed
far from the truth.
the image on the screen just clicked in my head. What he's showing over China's industry. Industry
Yeah,
came about, out of agricultural capitalism, naturally.
yeah,
This isn't a socialist effort.
yeah.
into the air each year as the United States, even though the U.S. economy is almost 60% larger than China's. And how do those international
And as we said before, like China does, like in the raw numbers, they do produce more carbon than we do. Like per capita, we produce more carbon than them.
agreements
Right.
fair at protecting the environment? Not too well, it turns out. When President Trump announced his intention to pull the U.S. out of the
Oh yeah, like I remember when I first saw this, TJ Kirk, the amazing atheist, was reacting to this video, and he was like, "See, PragerU can't even come up with a flattering image of Trump."
They literally can't. Oh, look at how big they made his hands, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Paris Climate Accord, environmentalists warned of imminent disaster. Yet a year later, it turned out that the United States led the world in reducing carbon emissions. It did so without surrendering its national sovereignty. Moreover,
If he's
No.
referring to the climate agreement, like the Paris Climate Agreement, that never was part of the idea. Like we
There are,
weren't-
there are reasons why carbon might be dropping. You know, I mean, it's not a constant upward trajectory. I mean, it goes up and down, but the trend is clear. There are ways
Yeah,
out of context, and I don't know exactly how he's
yeah.
doing.
Like earlier in the pandemic when everything shut down, pollution
Exactly. Like, and I
plummeted.
don't know when this was released, so my first thought was maybe he's talking about the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, like no, yeah, this is pretty. This is I don't know how long ago was this video made? March 30th, 2020. So
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, right, yeah, right
right.
when it started.
Yeah,
Canada, the EU, and China, all signatories to the Paris Accord, not only failed to live up to their commitments, but increased their annual carbon emissions. The EU released an additional 40 million tons of carbon dioxide.
And what's the
into the
solution
air
to
that year.
this?
China,
To give up on
100
environmentalism?
huh?
So his solution to this is to give up on environmentalism, I guess. That's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Rather than taking it
20
further.
million
Yeah.
additional tons, all while wagging their fingers at Uncle Sam. Here's
Well,
what
let's
you won't
pause
hear
it a
from your
second.
neighborhood Greenpeace volunteer. The left favors big government solutions, not because it's better for the environment, but because it's better for leftism. Take a look at the Green New Deal, an environmental proposal embraced by virtually every major progressive in America. Forget for a moment the impracticality of a plan that would outlaw most forms of American energy and cost $93 trillion.
But they would transition to new forms of energy. That's the fucking point.
That yeah, and he kind of gives himself away here, indicating that most forms of American energy are not clean, right? But
Yeah.
he's not smart enough to really see that.
Yeah. And like then and the thing is like you can see like oh it would cost like 93 trillion over the next like 10 years or something like that.
It costs way more if we don't do that, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's what AOC was saying. Both like the human cost as well as the financial costs of not doing anything, like super like swift and like very radical, so to speak. That like those costs are gonna very much outweigh the cost of doing like a Green New Deal.
So like I'm just like trying to think about his logic here. Like could you imagine if like in the 1960s during the civil rights movement, after like a couple of protests, Dr. King looked around and he was like, you know what, this isn't really working. Let's just stop.
Yeah.
It's an absurd line of thinking.
Yeah, well,
And
like if something wasn't working, Dr. King would like take it even further because like
well, it's because he doesn't care about the environment, right? I mean, he's trying to say that he does to push an agenda.
but yeah, they're only going harder on climate change because it's good for leftism, not for
But I don't even know what that means. It's good for leftism. Because what is good for leftism? I mean, I would say what's good for leftism is what's good for, the working and oppressed peoples.
Well, yeah, since like the whole point of like socialism is pro like is being pro worker. You could disagree with it, saying it wouldn't work or whatever. Like I would disagree with you, but you can't honestly just like look at someone like an ideology and assume it's being done in bad faith. Like there's some hidden agenda behind just a basic ideology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess like because America is so right wing, every single party or movement or affiliation or whatever tends to have kind of a malevolent purpose. Maybe he just is stuck in that frame of mind or something, or
Like
maybe
he's projecting. You know.
yeah, that's probably closer to what it is. It's probably yeah.
Yeah.
Much of the
Like,
proposal has
fucker.
nothing to do with the environment. Socialized medicine, reparations for historical wrongs, and a jobs guarantee program are just a few of the
Okay.
items on its
Emphasis on
does-
the new emphasis on the New Deal part, right?
But also, this does relate to the environment, not directly, but I mean, all of these things, I mean, contribute to creating a society where we can sustain green energy.
Yeah.
You
You
can't
could
just
say
do
like
one
maybe
thing.
like strategically having all this stuff in the same bill doesn't make sense, like as far as passing it, because like
Okay.
because like the Green New Deal, as AOC wrote it, is kind of like a grab bag of a whole lot of things that the left wants. As much as great as all those things are, like strategically, you're not really gonna you don't have a chance of passing it. But like in like the principle of it, is very much good. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like with the Green New Deal, like like a federal jobs guarantee, like universal health care, reparations for slavery, like that's like emphasis on the New Deal part, because like the New Deal was very much, you know, kind
But
of like
also,
a
like,
pro workers piece of legislation.
he's acting like this just demonstrates that the left is, totally evil and just out for their own interests. When all
They
of these
want a federal
help
jobs
most
guarantee.
people, all of these
Those evil
help most
leftists.
people. Like, what is he, like, does he think? I mean, does he
Yeah.
talk? Like,
Yeah.
wish list. What do socialized medicine and reparations for slavery have to do with the environment?
We already kind of talked
Well,
about that.
nothing. But for
well, it kind of,
supporting the
well,
Green
that's
New
not
Deal,
true.
Yeah.
Well, because, yeah, no, if we, the drug, okay, no, there are multiple angles to this. Yeah, socialized medicine is good for the environment. In the same way, it's fucking, I can't think of how to put it. I don't even, Pharma is an enormous corporation. They make a ton of drugs on an industrial scale, and they're not very clean about it. And they've never been very clean about it.
Yeah.
Same with, I mean, and it's mostly the drug companies, of course. The insurance, that has nothing to do with pollution. But no,
Yeah.
we've transitioned to a government-funded healthcare program that would definitely cut down. There's just so many different angles to this, and like I can't. Also, if you pursue the Green New Deal, if you like try to like convert, and you don't transition to government-funded healthcare, it's much easier for people to slip into poverty, right? Especially when they're between jobs or something. There are things like this that you have to look at.
Yeah.
I obviously don't know all the details, but I'm at least familiar with the issue more than this guy is.
Clearly.
well, that's okay, because their primary goal is increasing government power well beyond anything we've ever seen in America. They need this power, or presumably, to save us from ourselves. In contrast, conservatives are all about innovating our way to a cleaner
Maybe to
environment
save workers from
without
capitalists.
depriving anyone of their freedom. Take, for example, that monster of all green monsters, horizontal drilling for oil and gas, also known as fracking. The left demonizes fracking, even though it actually makes the environment cleaner, the country richer, and now independent of Middle Eastern oil, something thought impossible
How about let's be independent of oil, period?
a decade ago.
Yeah.
How does it make the environment cleaner? By
Is he
releasing
saying that?
50% less carbon dioxide.
I knew he was going to say that.
coal. And since it's
That is
also
the
cheaper,
dumbest take
people are happy
on
to
this
buy it.
issue I've ever
Not
heard.
because government
Yeah, we're not killing 100 people. We're only killing 50 people.
You could
Ergo,
say,
it's
but
awesome.
you could make that argument for literally every single fossil fuel. You could say, oh, we're taking it out of the earth, so we're cleaning it up.
Yeah.
What do you do with it once you take it out of the earth? Like that's the
You
thing.
put it back in the fucking air.
Yes.
forces them to. But
Yeah, wait till like they start making the argument that, melting the ice to release the methane out of the ground is actually cleaning up the environment.
because it saves
Okay.
them money. By the way, according to a Harvard study, fracking is safe and improving all the time.
I actually found that study. It's from
Okay.
Harvard Business School. It's not from an actual environment, like an actual science organization.
Makes sense.
Innovation that produces abundant, clean energy at a fair price without infringing on my freedom. That works for this
He likes
conservative.
to emphasize the at a fair
It would
price
work
part.
for anyone who cares about the environment and people. So let me repeat, I love clean air and water.
Yeah, because humans
that's-
love that kind of thing. It's kind of essential. Yeah.
You can like there are places like America pollutes a lot, and there are places where you can't breathe clean air or drink clean water. But there are also places where you can. Like I mean, just because you like clean air and clean water doesn't mean that you're an environmentalist. And just because you want the air to remain clean and the water to remain clean doesn't mean you're an environmentalist, right? I mean, this is so simplistic and narrow.
Yeah.
I don't own even a single share of Exxon. I'm Michael Knowles, host of The Michael Knowles Show for Prager University.
And
What the fuck? What did he just? I don't own a single share of Excel.
well, yeah, like I guess it's supposed to like say I'm not doing this on behalf of fossil fuel companies. I don't own a
No,
single
you're
share.
doing it on behalf of PragerU. That's why it's not your platform.
Yeah,
Are you
and PragerU is
for the
funded by
fracking
fracking
people?
billionaires.
Exactly. Like this
I mean,
guy,
yeah,
I'm just like I'm blown away by his just not even stupidity. It just doesn't even sound like he thinks through anything he thinks.